On October 12, 2025, the port believed nothing could touch it. The defense network around Novorossiysk was built in layers and watched the sea with total confidence. North Korean troops had surrounded the harbor and filled it with weapons and sensors. Radar-guided Panzer S-1 missile launchers covered the approaches. AK-630 close-in air defense guns sat on mounts ready to fire up to 10,000 explosive rounds each minute. Orion drones stood on alert with CABE, 20 precision bombs under their wings. And in the middle of it all, a covert frigate kept watch. It held 8 vertical launch cells charged with Puka-Kong-3 ballistic missiles, each capable to hit objectives over 800 meters out. Teams trained, scanners turned. The harbor seemed secure. Ukraine did not bring destroyers. It did not bring submarines. It brought something different. AQ-400 Scythe UAVs skimmed the water at just 50 feet, guided by terrain radar and pre-programmed maps. From the south, Marathi 5 unmanned boats punched through 6-foot waves. 2 carried 700-pound warheads. The third was a decoy, designed to look like a friendly patrol craft on radar. High above, a BRTB-2 circled at 27,000 feet. Through an encrypted Starlink, it spotted targets and stitched the full picture together for the strike team. Hidden within that familiar formation was a card never used before, a small US-backed platform, faster, quieter, invisible to radar, guided by onboard AI and advanced inertial systems. It wasn't built for brute force, it was built for accuracy. This was its first real mission. It didn't plan to crush the fortress. It planned to take it apart one hinge at a time. At 4:30 a.m., the port lay still. On paper, it was a Russian-controlled logistics hub. In reality, it held North Korean assets packed tight, damaged corvettes, missile boats, radar trucks, and mobile command gear. This was where they hid, repaired, and planned the next strikes. They thought they were out of reach, but they were wrong. From the west, 6 AQ-400 Scythes moved in at around 90 miles per hour, staying only 50 feet above the water, too low for a long-range radar to see. From the south, 3 Mura 55 boats sped toward the harbor entrance. 2 were active, 1 was the decoy. Above them, the TB-2 tracked the target. The North Korean covert Frigga with 8 Puka-Kong-3 vertical launch tubes worth $500 million, both a danger and a prize. The hybrid Ghost strike was about to begin, using American-made AI target processors and terrain-following radar to take advantage of every blind spot in the network. At 4:35 a.m., the first trap snapped shut. The operator sent the activation signal. 2 sides released bundles of chaff. Thousands of metallic fibers rose, creating huge false radar clouds. On Russian and North Korean screens, it looked like 2 giant drones had broken formation and were charging straight in. 4 other sides dropped to 30 feet. They stayed low over the water and slid behind the steep granite cliffs of the Krasnodar coastline. The Bracca TB-2 kept sending encrypted coordinates through Starlink. Its terrain-matching radar mapped the hidden Panzer S-1 launchers near the harbor. Inside the enemy command center, confusion spread. The Castor 2E2 radar flagged the low-flying sides as biological clutter. Birds pushed off course by fog. The 96 L6 target tracker read the Mura decoy boat at 25 miles per hour, with a radar cross-section near 110 square feet. Assuming it was a gunboat, the coastal battery fired 357 E-6E missiles. The decoy vanished in a 7,000-degree fireball. The aluminum hull atomized. A 20-foot plume of salt water and smoke climbed into the air. But that was never the real threat. The flash blinded the sensors briefly. One side caught shrapnel and broke apart mid-air. The others surged forward. By 4:37 a.m., defenders had fired 12 missiles and destroyed only 1 real drone. Then the electronic attack hit. The Russian Kasuka-4 system unleashed a focused electromagnetic pulse with an 186-mile radius. It aimed to blind every drone at once. Ukrainian video feeds dissolved into static. Red letters flashed, signal lost. But the Scythe's American-made AI had already switched to inertial navigation. No GPS, no data link, only gyroscopes and stored terrain. One drone veered off, homed on the emitter and dove. At about 90 miles per hour, it slammed into the radar truck carrying the array. The shaped charge exploded downward, smashing into the chassis and igniting the fuel cell. The truck vanished in a single orange flame. The screens cleared. The TB2 reconnected. 4 sides remained. The defense system was wounded. The strike pressed on. The screens cleared. The TB2 came back online. 4 sides stayed airborne. The defense network was damaged. The strike continued. Before the final phase, imagine something larger. Picture a North Korean ballistic missile submarine moving slow and deep, carrying warheads able to level whole cities. At 4:38 a.m., Starlink was stable again. The electromagnetic fog lifted. The TB2's video became sharp. Below, the air picture was chaos. Hot trails crossed, radar echoes layered, false targets bloomed. One scythe broke formation and went for a Panzer S-1. It flew at 92 miles per hour, just 32 feet above the water, releasing flares to confuse heat seekers, then dived. Impact. A 154-pound shaped charge hit the turret. The copper jet pierced armor and ignited the ammunition feed. Temperature spiked past 2,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Shrapnel sprayed 120 feet. A fireball climbed 30 feet. Local seismic sensors recorded a 2.1 magnitude tremor. Another launcher was destroyed. The remaining sides shifted course immediately. At the same moment, 3 Orion Hunter drones launched from a coastal base. Designed to chase small, fast-moving targets, they reached speeds near 120 miles per hour. Each carried CAB-20 laser-guided munitions. One Orion spotted the bright heat signature of a Mura 55 skimming across the cold sea. Lock confirmed. The drone released its weapon. The Mura 55, carrying a 700-pound warhead, took a direct hit. The explosive load detonated prematurely. A towering column of fire and water shot 26 feet into the air. Debris fell like rain. Half of the naval strike group was destroyed in one blast. The operator in the bunker remained calm, guiding the next phase of the attack. He ordered the last Mura 55 to slow to 18 miles per hour. It ducked into wave troughs and barely disturbed the surface. The 3 surviving sides went cold. Exhaust vented upward, heat masked. Flight paths hugged the cliffs to break the infrared outline. The Bayar TB2 steady at 27,000 feet. Scanned again. It found the lead Orion circling. Coordinates went out. One side peeled off, climbed slowly, and slid into Orion's blind zone from the rear. At 4:40 a.m., it struck. The explosion broke Orion in the air. Burning wreckage fell into the Black Sea. The other 2 Orions hesitated. Their feeds blinked. No visuals, no telemetry. The strike rolled forward. Only 2 sides and 1 mirror remained. The last 2 attackers pressed on. The flagship's AK-630 opened fire again. The deck gun roared, sending a river of 30mm shells into the sky. One side was caught mid-turn and shredded, carbon fiber and wiring scattering like chaff. Only 2 sides and the mirror drone remained. The final scythe flew a twisting, serpentine path, forcing the gun to constantly recalce its aim. At the same time, the Mura 55 released another cloud of aluminium fibers. Ghost targets multiplied across enemy radar. The AK-630 fired wildly, but the warship pitched 5 degrees with the swells, making it impossible to settle the turret. After 19 seconds of continuous fire, the gun ran dry. The last shell left the barrel. The CIWS spun down. Radar lost lock. At 4:43 a.m., the Bay RTB-2 marked 2 targets with lasers, the fuel depot beneath the pier, and the bank of vertical missile tubes on the deck. The last scythe received final coordinates and dove. Its warhead struck just beneath the pier. The shaped charge's copper jet pierced 1 inch of steel and tore into a fuel tank. Pressure surged. Flames erupted immediately. The first fireball shot 31 feet into the air. Shockwaves rippled across the harbour. Windows shattered within 300 yards. Regional sensors recorded a 3.4 magnitude tremor. That blast was just the start. Burning fuel flowed toward the missile deck. Heat warped the launch assembly. Guidance hardware for the 8 Pukakong 3 missiles failed. The flagship remained afloat, but its weapons were destroyed. Smoke blackened the port side. The sky over the harbour turned orange. The fortress was no longer a fortress. The numbers told the rest. In just 15 minutes, Ukraine dismantled a $1 billion stronghold using less than $2 million of equipment. No satellites were hit, no fighters scrambled. The job was completed with plywood drones, smart software, and careful planning. By 4:45 a.m., flames still burned at Novorossiysk. Black smoke hung over the bay like a warning. The North Korean flagship wasn't sunk, but it was paralyzed. Missile tubes scorched, launch systems melted. What had threatened cities and civilians now sat useless at the pier. Inside the Ukrainian bunker, there was no cheering. Operators quietly watched the burning pier, charred steel, and fuel spreading across the water. They understood the meaning. This wasn't just a tactical victory. It was a message. Cheap drones and clever tactics could defeat expensive hardware. Another truth lingered behind the smoke. War always has a cost, not just in money or metal. It steals time from families, forces sirens over cities, and makes children learn math under the sound of cruise missile alerts. This strike was brilliant, but it shouldn't become routine. It shouldn't be scaled up. It should serve as a turning point and a call for talks. It should mark the moment when the international community steps in before more ports burn. If you stand for peace, write peace. Show that strength isn't measured by who destroys the most, but by who dares to stop the cycle. If this breakdown helped you, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next in-depth battlefield analysis. See you on the next mission.